Hi, this is Brian with Technical Trader Institute. Today is January 20th, 2021, and today we're going to cover some of the results of our end-of-day scan that show stocks trading with high relative volume as well as high relative strength. The top of the list here, we had about 78 total, but we're not going to cover all those today, but we're going to go through a few of them here. OBLN was the top of the list, a 414% gain on the day. This is something that's kind of exceptional, and don't feel bad if you missed it. Basically, if you didn't catch the morning gap up here in this zone, you're probably it's recommended not to chase it on some situations like this, unless you're trading small or you're a very experienced trader and trading off the 20 exponential moving average on the 5. As you can see, it kind of trended across that blue line all the way through most of the day. Had a pullback here, a nice push up, and to close your position out, and then would have been a sell-off from a high like that. That's an extreme case that, generally speaking, most people don't get a part of. I didn't trade this one today, but I know a lot of people that did. Going down, UAVS, this one is super strong. This one has had some previous high spikes of volume all the way back in December, a little bit in the first part of January, and then just a few days ago it started pushing into these upper side of the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. To date, basically was gapping up in the morning, did sell off some, found some support around 12, and then moved forward back to the end of the high of the day. This one in particular is a little bit extended. It is super hot, so it could continue to go. Sometimes when they're this hot, they just continue to ride higher. So it's no telling. I would not take this trade here particularly because of its extended nature and time and price. It should have some sort of consolidation in that for me to get into this one in particular. VUZI is an interesting one. This one has had a previous run up back in December with heavy volume, and then has been consolidating. And this is the type of consolidation in price and time that we would like to see in the previous example in UAVS before we get in. And today here, once it gapped up over this 10 to 13 or 10-15 mark, on volume, you can see the volume was increasing, the relative volume increased the rest of the day. It gapped up and is now testing, and in after hours is going to an all-time high. So the swing trigger on this one says go. So this one is still a possible trade for overnight and into tomorrow. So that would be a good one to possibly put on your watch list. EH, here's another one. It has had some volume all the way back early December, late December, and then it's been kind of ramping up since the beginning of the year in volume. There's several different flags here. You can see this is initial push forward, flag, push forward, flag, push forward, flag. And then finally, this one's breaking out with substantial volume on the daily chart. You can see this. So this one is still super hot, probably will continue, but again, it's extended up into the upper side of the Bollinger Band. So we'd like to see some consolidation in time and price before we enter this one. Netflix, I think everybody knew this one was a beautiful gap and go today. Previously, it had been consolidating in this zone for a fairly long time. And now we're breaking out to an all-time high over this previous pivot high here and this one here. And so long as it holds these highs here over 560 or 565, 560, somewhere in there, that is still going to be a bullish trade, and there's a lot of momentum into it, obviously. It's over all the exponential moving averages, which was actually not the case prior to a great earnings call yesterday. It was actually below your exponential moving averages. And so you would not necessarily have seen the gap up and go based on chart action necessarily today. It would have been more of a speculative play on earnings pop. But so long as it holds these zones over like 560 is my perspective, it should still be a bullish trade. Look for it to consolidate in time and price. GRTS, this one's very interesting. It's just starting this ignite candle over here. The last 2 days, so actually yesterday would have been the day, and today is a fall through day on that. The volume is substantially high on this one. The relative volume here, let me change. You can't show the extended hours to get the relative volume calculation. The relative volume was 3.33, so 333% more volume today on this one, GRTS, compared to the last 5 days. And then to the daily average, it's 15 times the daily 30-day average on volume. So obviously this one's super hot and could continue even though it's pushed up into the Bollinger Bands. Trading off a low of a day test or previous day close test is preferable for trying to do intraday trading on these. SPI. SPI is an interesting one, had 4.34 intraday volume with a 5.4 times 30-day average volume. Here, overall, the exponential moving averages, MACD is turned up, RSI is turned up, and the swing trigger says it could go. So this one is actually a really nice candidate, in my opinion, for potential test of this 16 area or even high as this 46. So keep an eye on SPI. That is a potential breakout in the coming days. FUV. This one is an interesting setup with its potential breakout. We had back in November this run up with heavy volume. Since then it consolidates. See how when it pushes into a bulging band you can have pullback over and price and time, and this consolidation occurred. Buyers were buying off the 21 exponential moving average, and then eventually you have a day like today where it pushes at a little pullback and then pushes back up towards this new high of 20. So any breakout over 20 is going to be going to get hot, and so you're going to have clear skies above that. So today we had 148% of relative volume intraday and 131% over the 30-day average. So this one looks really hot. All the indicators here say that it can be a go. So FUV is one to put on your list. FUTU. This one has been hot, obviously, for quite a while. Basically, this breakout over this zone here back on basically January 1st, the first day of the year for trading, it has just been exponential and just riding up and pushing this Bollinger Band higher and higher. I keep thinking it's got to come back, but it doesn't. It's super, super strong. And so this one is not one to chase on a daily. I would simply say wait for time and price to consolidate some of this gains. Maybe wait for a pullback to the 9, which would be around 72, or the even 21 is around 61. So you have a lot of space in here. I don't know if it's going to pull back, but it's super strong and may continue higher. The volume today was still 153% of intraday volume and 230% over the 30-day average. So that's super hot. APPS, this one's been hot, was especially hot last year. This is a spike in volume, 168% of intraday volume and 160% of the 30-day average. It kind of just gapped up this morning and just took off, and it's been kind of consolidating above VWAP since then. This could continue higher. It's up into the upper part of the bulging bands, but you could see that it has potential after this breakout for a couple steps higher. So this could easily be a candidate for a swing. The swing trigger says it could be a go. 66 on the RSI and turned up. MACD's turned up and positive. So all of those are good signs for APPS. AG super hot today. 246% of intraday volume. Daily volume is 382% of the 30-day average. It's super hot. Obviously, it had some momentum up here, consolidated in time and price. Profit takers, whoever, whatever the reason it sells off, it consolidates in time and price. Obviously, there's some very interested parties considering the volume today, and it pushed it almost all the way back to a new high. So this one I would consider as a candidate for a possible swing trade. The swing trigger says it's potentially ready for another move. So that is it's a candidate. RSI is at 59 and turned up. MACD is turned up above overall exponential moving averages. There was one huge buy candle right here. You can see on this volume tracker. This red bar shows you your relative volume compared to the 5-day average. So you can see that somebody came in pretty strong right here around this 1380 mark today and pushed the price even higher. So I would expect a follow through on AG. LAZR. LAZR. Okay, this one has had a very nice run up since November. Heavy volume, but eventually, pushed too far into the Bollinger Bands, had some pullback in time and price, and now we're in kind of a V shape here, or a flag shape here. This has a potential breakout. I would say anything over 35, yeah, probably about 35 is a go for this. This could be a huge winner. Everything is set up for it. The swing trigger says it's a move could potentially be coming. RSI is at 54 and turned up. MACD hasn't quite turned, but it's trying to turn up here a little bit. Overall, the moving averages. The volume today is at 200% over the 5-day average, so LAZR should be on your watch list. Ford is moving on up. Most of these, GM and Ford, are both in a very similar pattern. They had a little cup going here, and then they're breaking out over these cup with pretty substantial volume over the last 4 or 5 days. MACD's turned up, RSI's turned up over 70. Swing trigger already occurred back here. You can see the swing trigger says a move was ready, and it actually happened already. So this is not one I would be chasing. If you're a long-term investor, you could get in and ride it out, see where it goes. But I would not be loading up in a large position at this point. DT, Dynatrace. This one had a breakout today. It had some consolidation in time and price. Here it broke out over this 44 range. The relative volume today is at 248% of the 5-day average and 198% of the 30-day average. This is pushed up into the upper side of the Bollinger Bands, but it is also on a breakout with clear skies above. Well, maybe not completely clear skies above. If we clear this 48 level and this 47 level, there's not many bag holders left in Dynatrace. So this one could have momentum to the upside. The swing trigger says basically was saying that a move could happen, and part of that move has already happened. So you could try to trade this so long as it doesn't lose more than half of this candle here. So around 46 could be a buy point in Dynatrace. TTM. Okay, this one. I've not traded this one, but this one's been super hot. Had a gap up back on the 11th. Today was 100%, 107% of the 5-day average, but this was a huge volume day on this one, so still a huge volume day today, but you can see over the last 5 days it's been a lot of volume and a lot of price pushing. Whether this continues or not is to be determined, right? It seems to be very gappy through here, so sometimes it'll just continue to do that, but trade smaller sizes here, and you potentially could have some good trades within that one. Obviously, there's a heavy amount of interest in that, so I don't know what the catalyst is. IVZ, this one I like. I actually added some of this one in Invesco. You had some volume come in on the 15th and then again today with a gap up, and RSI is turned up, MACD's turned up, overall exponential moving averages. We had a 353% of relative volume over the last 5 days and 254% compared to the 30-day average. So IVZ is a candidate for continuation. ELY, Callaway Golf. So golf is hot. Actually, if you look at this, the volume hasn't really picked up quite yet compared to, if you're looking at just the bars here. Today was 160% of the 5-day average, 164% of the 30-day average. So it was a significant amount of volume today. It's more than these previous days here. The gap up, the market's very bullish. It's moving towards an all-time high, it looks like. So since the March lows were at $4 and now we're at $29, that is a very nice trend on it. Let's see, go next. PHM. PHM, we have a gap up, and then looks like a breakout over this 45 range. RSI's up, MACD's up. Swing trigger is kind of a mooted point because the price action was kind of sideways, so it wasn't sure what it was going to do. But this particular one, it just gapped and ran. This is what we call a zone 6 rider. Rides up in this zone here all the way through. and then had a little consolidation and pull back towards the end of the day. Profit takers come in, and obviously there's still interested parties. They bought it up at the end of the day with pretty heavy volume. TDOC, we have a breakout candidate here at 233 was the breakout after yesterday. I would not be chasing this one in particular, but there's a possible upside to at least test this particular high. If we can break through that high, you might have more upside momentum. But for me, this one in particular will probably be, I would prefer some consolidation in time and price. It had 288% of intraday volume and 235% of the 30-day average, so that one is still pretty hot. JKS, there was some bullish flow in this one. You can see how this one has ran up pretty solid all the way through from September on. We're consolidating in time and price, and there's this big range, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. Maybe this is a new uptrend. So I would say anything over today's high, you could have a test of 73 up to 82 and even 90. So JKS should be on your watch list for a potential breakout candidate. LEN, LAZR. Okay, so this one's one we've looked at. It's above overall the exponential moving averages. MACD's turned up. RSI is at 63, turned up. Swing trigger says more move could happen. Today, same thing. Zone 6 rider all the way up. Profit takers in the day, and then buyers came in. Beautiful. 137% of the 30-day average. So LEN is a candidate. DHI, same industry group, very similar. See, in the sense of its run up today in price action. It has a potential breakout candidate at 78 and 80. It looks like our possible next levels on this one. This does look good for a potential swing. As you can see on the daily, it's been consolidating this range, so there's potential breakouts at each of these points here if they can get there. DDOG had 192% of intraday volume, so a little uptick in volume. If this can get a follow through day tomorrow and get over about the 106, 107 range, we could then test this 111 and then 118 eventually. RSI's turned up. Swing triggers basically is not giving us a signal that a swing is confirmed from a low point. So this one I would probably use a little bit of caution. It's got a little bit of choppiness, obviously, in the price action. That one is a candidate, but tread softly on that one. Amazon, huge breakout day, up 142 points on the day. You couldn't have necessarily expected this. Amazon is just like Netflix. It was below the exponential moving averages yesterday, and we had this huge gap up and go. Netflix ignited all this action in the FANG stocks today. So we had a huge upside there. MACD has turned up, RSI has turned up. Swing trigger says, yeah, go ahead. And so you can see how this one just rode up in this zone set 6 all day, tested the 20E, and eventually just kind of pushed into zone 7 with a little bit of consolidation there. Anything over this 355 to me is a breakout zone. Potential candidates of 334 and then all the way up to the 3475. JD looks very interesting. It had 137% of the 30-day average volume today, 171% of the 5-day average. So this one in particular could be a breakout candidate. Anything over 96, it's going to have clear skies to push new all-time highs. RSI, MACD, and all the new moving averages are set up for potential upside to this. I like JD going long. FTCH, far-fetch. This one has had this huge run up all the way back from October and has just been riding the 9 exponential moving average all the way up, and finally we're getting this consolidation in the time and price. Here's an interesting spot for this one in particular. We had 122% of the 30-day average, so a little bit of an uptick, but you can see there's a couple upticks here. This one is a candidate to break out anything over the 65 zone at any given time. Once it's consolidated in this time zone, this time and price, the swing trader says a potential move could happen at any point now. 54.9 on the RSI, and it's turned up. MACD is about to turn up. So I really like FTCH for a potential breakout candidate. Options may be a little bit tough because of we don't know exactly when that breakout's going to occur. But any buying off the around the 60 level, it's where the 9 and the 21 are now touching each other. So as long as it holds 60 and a buy level at 60 holds that level, this could be a really good one. Sono's been in a very nice uptrend, a little bit of a consolidation, push higher, consolidation, and now push higher. I wouldn't necessarily be chasing this one. The swing trigger is already fired, but it has continued momentum. The volume has dissipated after this huge candle right here. The volume is kind of dying down. So to me, I would rather buy back this one in particular around the 9 or at least the 21 day, but at least the 9 exponential moving average around 26. BB, this one is BlackBerry. It obviously has some huge volume here in December, and then we see that same volume follow up after some consolidation in time and price. And then we've had 4 candles just igniting this one up higher. This one might be just a little bit extended up here. I would not expect it to continue quite this hot, but you could be surprised. It's 530% of the 30-day average. So today's volume over the last 30 days, you look at all these little small bars, it's obviously in play over the last 4 days. So if that volume continues, it could push the price with that volume. STNE is another one. This is a nice potential breakout candidate. Anything over 87, 189% of the 30-day average on the volume and 281% of the 5-day average. You can see this little spike in volume here. RSI is turned up. Swing trigger says go, so STNE is a candidate. TRMB, haven't even ever looked at this chart, but obviously very bullish. It's had fairly low volume on all this, all the way through this zone, and then we have a potential breakout at 74, pull back in time and price, and then today's volume is just unbelievable. 50 times the 30-day average, so that is very, very large. So I'm going to have to look up something on this one. I'm not sure what Trumbull does, but this is a candidate for more considering that much volume. Z is in Zillow. Zillow has been just in a nice uptrend, pulled back to the 21-day or keep getting bought. The RSI is at 66, turned up. MACD is turned up. Swing trigger says another move could happen here in Zillow. So this is a potential breakout area for it. So as long as we don't get rejected at 151, so anything that clears about 151 tomorrow in the coming days, it could be another breakout candidate for higher prices on Zillow. USFD, super heavy volume today, 368% of the 30-day average and 281% of the 5-day average. It's been bullish all along, pulled back to the 21-day here, and it's being bought off the 21 days. So potential breakout of anything over 36. So on this one in particular, if we have, this is US Foods, if we have a breakouts over that, be good for longs, probably more of a swing trade for common shares as opposed to options on this one. INSG, this one has had two breakout flags, and then the 21-day was catching it here, and then now we have a breakout and follow through. 175% of the 30-day average. We had huge volume yesterday and today both. This is a 5G play, and I think it's going to continue higher. You can both get shares for long-term swings or longer-term dated options over 60-day DT. Starbucks looks like it's going to continue this uptrend. Buyers keep finding buyers around the 21-day. Very nice volume today, and your RSI and the swing trigger, everything down here says it's a go. So this is Starbucks could be a good swing for the rest of the year. Potential breakout over 107. BLDR. Wow, this one really got some momentum at the end of the day. It has a breakout candidate of anything over about 42. It was at 44.50 or 41.50, so about $1 more to the upside. If it clears that, this sucker could get going. The swing trigger is completely ready and says go. RSI says 58 and rising. MACD is turned up. Overall exponential moving averages, and we had 147% of the 30-day average in volume today. TCEHY. This one has been super hot. This is a company that owns 30% of FUTU, which has also been super hot. We covered it earlier, and it keeps going, these gaps, and just keeps going up. The volume, MACD, everything says that this one can continue going higher. It's just a little extended for me to trade. We don't know when that pullback's coming, but at some point, pullback in time and price, wait for that consolidation to happen and buyers to step back up, and that's when you try to get into something like that. FSLY, this one actually looks like a breakout candidate potential over 105. You have pretty good volume today at 162% of the intraday volume, but that's compared to the 5-day average. But the 30-day average it's actually slightly lower because you have some bars back here, I guess, or right here, that push the volume average higher. So it's didn't even quite eclipse the 30-day average in volume today. But it does look like it's in a bullish trend. It held this level and it's been pushing off this. So I would say you could trade this one off of a 95 level for higher prices. MT has a nice pullback candidate down, trading right at the 21 day. Has lost the 9 exponential moving average, but you could trade off of the 23 level or the 22 level, somewhere in there, for a trade higher. Potential breakout candidate of anything over 25, looks like 25.76. Well, that's going to conclude all we're going to cover today. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you would like to find out more about the scripts and packages we use for OnThinkorswim, please look us up at technicaltraderinstitute.com.